Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm going to be reacting to Your House Will Feel Like a Coffin If You Don't Do This. America, India said Guru Adiyogi. So the thumbnail, I thought that was the White House for a second. Why is the grudge there though? That's Japanese. Anyways, let's go give this video a shot.
Most of the American homes are woodwork. That's not a good word. It's woodwork, so it doesn't have the same capacity to hold. And another thing is, it's recirculated air. Nobody opens a window or a door. It's all the time same air being recirculated or very minimal amount of movement of aliveness. People are not moving about joyfully, either they're staring at their computer screen, or they're depressed, or they're sleeping. Inertia of various levels and various levels of stresses and tensions, it slowly builds up in the space and it can overwhelm a person.
Oh, I always forget about this channel does that. Could you explain how the Bhavravi Punya Puja works? It seems different from traditional pujas. Hopefully I said that correctly. But anyways, a little bit of comment. I think the Americans' house does breathe a little bit. Just because it depends on where it's built, because there's a lot of moisture in a lot of areas and your house needs to be able to breathe to remove the moisture. But anyways, but I think I understand what he's trying to say. And again, another reason is about the don't circulate the air is because, at least in America, it gets really hot and you don't want to let out the cold air to let in the hot air. But in the wintertime though, sometimes you actually do want to open up a window because to let that air, you don't save on a little bit of electricity in terms if your house gets too hot. But again, it's like really cold winters and really hot summers. It's the few times that's like spring or fall is the good times where you can open it up, but even then, it's, you have the AC, so I did find this remarkable. I did watch some British videos, not British, but just, I guess, some British people who came to the United States, and some people in the United States who went to Britain. The British people don't have AC, air conditioning. And everywhere in the United States they have air conditioning. Basically, it's pumping air outside into, I think it's pumping air outside into the house. But it's really strange because it's so hot and cold in the United States, depending on where you live, and humid, really bad. Anyways, get back to the video.
The thing is, what this Punya Puja is, maybe we can use an English term so that everybody looks at it differently. Punya Puja is like, you know what's Punya? What is referred to as Punya and Papa? Unfortunately, these things are badly misinterpreted over a period of time. Punya Papa means those type of actions, actions which take you down, actions which, increase the effervescence of life within you, or actions which move you towards the inertia of life. Or in other words, actions which move you towards life, actions which move you towards death. When I say death, not just physical death, you can die in so many ways. So there are many fantastic phenomena happening in the process of life, every day. Every day, every moment it's happening. Most of the humanity is dead to it. They're dead to the moon, dead to the sunrise, dead to the sunset. Only when something becomes acute, or they have to get up in the morning, early morning, and go for their work, then sun gets in their eyes and of course you put the pad so that you can't see it. Something like this. Why this has happened is, the psychological space has overtaken the cosmic space. Or your own silly creation in your head has overtaken the Creator's creation. This is all that's happened. And anyway, the puja is about getting you into an energetic space where you become alive. do these things. So the Punya Puja is to enliven the house. The space in the house should become alive. If you have lived in such a way in your home that every moment you're on with love and light within you, then no Punya Puja would be needed. But today you have built homes which are so large, it's very difficult to make them alive just by living. If you just had a one-room house and you lived in great sense of love and joy, you can easily keep it very alive. But today your house has 10, 15 enclosures. It's very difficult for any human being to keep it alive. Once in a way, if you do not enliven it, slowly if you enter certain parts of your home, you will see it feels like a coffin. I want all of you today, you know your house well enough, where you need to open your eyes, you open, but just walk with your eyes closed, with your left hand outstretched a little bit, and just walk, just feel and walk around the house. You will see many parts of your house will feel like a coffin. Some parts may be alive. Usually I find kitchens are alive because it's the only place something is happening. Everywhere else…
Well, I mean, what about well, I don't know if this is something that's in other places. There's a place in the house called the living room. And this is usually a place where you watch TV. It's usually a big area where you watch TV, generally speaking with like well, how do I say? It's a place, a large area where you can watch TV, do family things or large groupings, holdings kind of. You know, outside of the kitchen and the dining room, which are generally combined, or sometimes they do have it kind of slightly sectioned off. We have the cooking area, then you have the dining area. You have the living room, where if you hold a big party, you have the dining room and the living room that will kind of serve its purpose for eating and gathering. And you know, sometimes you kind of break yourself apart where maybe the men go outside or go to the living room, and the women either go in the dining room and talk after eating, or go in the living room and talk there. You know, it's just you kind of break, I guess, kind of get in our little groups, like men time or women time, where you can talk to each other. And so the living room. Now I get the bedroom and all that. Everyone kind of wants their personal space. So I understand that. It's really interesting you saying this. I get what it's saying, kinda, because there's a lot of sections to a house. It depends on how many rooms you have, but they all serve a purpose. I don't see it as a coffin, but I can understand where he's coming from in that. I can see it being that way. And strangely enough, in my moment of time right now in my life, how do I say? What it's saying is working against me. Let's just put it that way.
If you live in a very, very alive way, you can enliven something. But when you have 12, 15, 20 enclosures in your house,
dang,
it's very, very difficult for anybody to enliven all that. So Punya Puja, once in a way, at least once a year, would light it up. That is, you have the space around you alive and it supports you. Can't I live beautifully in a coffin? You can. If you're capable of it, no problem. But not everybody is. They need external support. This is the idea of creating consecrated spaces. So Punya Puja is a way of consecrating your home, entire home, every part of it, so that there is some sense of aliveness and energy. But we cannot consecrate your home in such a way it's forever, because your house is not built through that geometry. It doesn't have that kind of material to hold the energy forever. If we enliven an Indian home, easily 1 or 2 years it will stay alive. An American home, particularly largely with wood and inside all those dampening, what is this, insulating material, keeping it alive. I'm saying if nothing alive is happening in the house, you're a depressed person, suppose. You have a whole bunch of depressed people in the house, nobody's really alive. If it is so, this Punya Puja may deplete in a matter of 6 to 8 months. it will not stay for very long because the material used does not support that. If the house was built with brick or stone, we could make it alive and easily make it stay that way at least for 2 years. Minimum 2 years, I would say 1.5 to 2 years.
I don't wonder why the material works. Now, in America, there are brick houses too. Now, it could be a combination. I'm not sure. I know. So mind you, I think the house I live in, it's brick exterior with wood interior. Because wood is a little bit more comforting, and I guess what happens is they have the brick exterior, they have the insulating foam, and then the wood interior. That way the insulation can keep cold air out or the hot air out, and keep the temperature inside the house relatively consistent. If you don't have good insulation, kind of like if you I don't know if you carry lunch and stuff in a cooler or something like that, where it tries to keep the temperature inside the same while keeping the outside temperature out. So whether that be cold or hot air out, and then whatever's inside either cold or hot. That's the same thing in the house. That way your AC, at least in America, is not constantly trying to keep it at a consistent temperature. Your AC will cut on, cool it down or heat it up to where you want it. It cuts off, and then the insulation will try to keep that your temperature in your house the same. But interestingly, he says the difference in wood and brick. The house I live in is brick exterior and wood interior. So what does that mean, though? Like, where does I guess the material matter? Is it the external, internal, or is it both? Or because I know where I come from, where I was born, it's all one material. It's all is it concrete? I think it's all concrete. The exterior and interior of the house is the same. It's the one wall, and that's all it is. I think it's brick filled with cement, with rebar. So the floor, the wall, and then the roof are metal. I don't think they have insulation, but then where I live, there's no AC. It's just, and a lot of the doors and stuff is left open. For the most part, windows are left open during the day to allow air to movement, because there's no real way to move the air inside the house unless you have a fan. There's no AC, no central air conditioning unit, so you have to open up the air to move air in and out. Anyway, going way too deep into that, so I'm kind of just curious, explaining all this there. I don't know if anyone's going to reply to it.
It could last much more, but it also depends on you, how you are. However the material is, if you are fine, you can live well. Because now most of the American homes are woodwork. That's not a good word. It's woodwork, so it doesn't have the same capacity to hold. And another thing is, it's recirculated air. Nobody opens a window or a door. It's all the time same air being recirculated, or very minimal amount of movement, of aliveness. If you have a lot of plants around you, trees around you, and if you keep the windows open, they will take care of the puja and puja for you to quite some extent. They can. But most of the houses are shut off and recirculated air is going on all the time. People are not moving about joyfully. Either they're staring at their computer screen, or they're depressed, or they're sleeping. Inertia of various levels and various levels of stresses and tensions, it slowly builds up in the space and it can overwhelm a person. Any number of people will find, if they're feeling sick, particularly if they're feeling psychologically, kind of oppressed, you will see if they just walk out of that space, they will feel great. If they move to another place, they will almost become healthy. Many times, many times for most people. Not everybody who is having psychological problems are pathologically ill. Most of them are victims of the situations in which they exist, various type of situations. Energy situation is one of them, and an important one. We have taught you a kriya, how to keep this body work within this boundary, how to keep it enlivened all the time. But the larger woodwork of your home, how to keep it alive? If your Kriya is too fantastic, if your Shambhavi Mahamudra is such it's an explosion within you, then if you just walk around the house, maybe the space will get fixed. But if it's not like that, if you're not like that, then it's good to make use of the support of Punya Puja. It's a wonderful process through which it will be done.
I think I can. I don't know if my translation of what he's is that. My translation is correct. I think I can see what he's saying. It's kind of a mental state in some degrees where when people walk around their house, they kind of feel it as either empty if they live by themselves, or kind of have perhaps a kind of a negative energy. I'm sorry I'm doing this, but I have to do that to say that it's not quite, maybe not quite the right word. I'm not exactly sure what the word to use there, but not the right energy, because you know, maybe have a negative emotions towards someone that lives in the house with you. And by doing this rituals, it kind of sets your mind straight, your energy straight also perhaps. That, you know, it's like, okay, by me doing this, I'm kind of cleansing my mind, I think. By doing this, there's a purpose for these rooms. I'm not sure. Again, I'm thinking this on the spot, but for me personally, that's what it seems like. Because there's something missing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's always there's the case of something missing, but for me it would feel like that. Why would a room feel like a coffin? Why would a room feel bad? Claustrophobic. Then to me it'd be like the room serves no purpose, so it's a coffin. I'm not dead, so I don't need a coffin. Why would I want a coffin? So why would I want an empty room? I guess if a room serves purposes, like you said, the kitchen, for example, was very lively, because that's a place where family, you know, cooking happens, family talks, excitement happens, because maybe you're trying out a new recipe. I don't know if that's what he's meaning, but I can see that. That's, again, my interpretation of it. I don't know if it's right or wrong. Could very well be wrong, but it's generally lively, especially if you have a family. But if you're by yourself, the kitchen can still be alone too. It's something that you do ritualistically, but it could be a reminder of you being alone. You have no one. So perhaps by doing pujas even in these areas, even though I don't have a full understanding of what that is, I guess it's a type of ritual of doing of something, which I'm not exactly sure. So I'll say fact check it, but find out what puja is. It's a type of ritual, I think. But anyways, hopefully it can show that there's a purpose for these rooms, and that's to do the puja, and hopes for to, how do I say, not bring enlightenment, not bring happiness, but to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not to bring happiness per se, it's to reduce suffering. Even though, to bring you happiness, but not happiness. Not to reduce suffering, but it's not necessarily suffering. I don't know what the right word for that is, but it's essentially to even out the energies or emotions in that room. I think that might be the better way to say it. To do puja so that it's not a negative effect, not a negative feeling in that room, but perhaps more of a neutral feeling. That way the room itself serves a purpose, as opposed to being an empty and purposeless room. That's what a coffin is. A coffin serves a purpose, but the purpose is to serve the dead, and you're not dead. So looking at a room as a coffin is a very bad thing. I don't know. That's my interpretation of it. Am I right? Probably not, but it's the best I can do at the moment. And perhaps it is a right interpretation of it, but from my perspective. And it could mean many different things to many different people, but I'm sure Sadhguru has a very specific meaning for it. I don't know if I'm reading it right, but it could perhaps mean the way I see it, because again, I have not really researched pujas very much, and I don't know if it serves I'm sure probably puja serves many different purposes for different people, depending on what that person's needs are. So, feeling like a room serves no purpose, like for me, would feel like it's a coffin. It's something missing. It's empty. It shouldn't be empty. It's my house. Why is it empty? It's a coffin, you know. So perhaps performing a puja there will at least give the room a purpose. I don't know. Guessing. That's how I'm interpreting it. Let me put it that way. Not necessarily guessing, but that's my interpretation. Could it be wrong? Absolutely. It could be very much wrong. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.